Well, it looks like it's jigsaw puzzle time again. We have a failed repair to rescue. See if I can get into this packaging. What have we got? Retina IIIC, big C. A few stray parts. What wonders have we got in here? Screws from the base plate, return spring for the back catch cover, the advance lever and the advance lever screws, the leatherette from the base and the leatherette patch for the advance lever. And see, there's a hole in the leatherette there. That's nowhere, is it? No, we have to cut a patch for that. Oh, the leather, it's on the base. Right, screw loose on the door hinge there, that's hanging out. Okay. Wrong screw there, of course, wrong screw there. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Some parts will go through the ultrasonic cleaner and some parts probably don't need to. That one, yeah, I see the rubber pad here is missing off that. We'll have to deal with that. Let's put the leatherettes over there. The spring, I don't want that getting near the cleaner, that'll get lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws from the base. A bit unhappy looking, but they'll live again. That screw doesn't belong. That screw doesn't belong. Now here, this trim bashed in at the corner, means the camera's been bashed on the ground there. We're halfway through the stroke for this film advance. What's going on there? Let's assume nothing good's going on and just strip the rest of this down. A screw snapped out here in the base plate will need to be drilled out and possibly the hole retapped. Tripod socket screws loose. That's about par for the course. Nothing unexpected there. Tripod socket can come out. This is the piece that sits on the inside of the camera and your film cassette sits in that well. This is dished in. Some bright spark has screwed their tripod socket in there and kept going. I've seen worse than that. I've seen where they've gone right through. But that will need some thumping down. This is not going to sit flat. It probably puts the film cassette at a funny angle. Start at the top of the camera. I will need my screwdriver to undo that screw. The accessory shoe is exceptionally bright and shiny, and I don't believe it began its life on that particular camera. It's probably been transferred in from something else. I'll just dismantle the rewind knob and throw the screw and the spring through the washer. Screwdriver for this. Oh, screw's loose anyway. Take that off, put it to one side. Two screws on the top plate at this end. Chrome plated screws. One screw at this end of the top cover. Hold your finger on the top of the meter, lift the top cover off. Checking the state of the top cover, it's got its rubber buffer in the corner there, that's good. A lot of sand and crap at this end, would certainly need to be cleaned out. Our exposure meter sitting in there, once upon a time, oh no, it did have a plastic loop on there, it just sat over that thing, that's fine, that's not unusual. The meter looks pretty lively. Take off that, that's the film release button, put its spring to one side, take out the shutter release shaft, range finder, get that off the body, two screws, cover those two screws. Put the rangefinder to one side. Strap lug at this end, that can come off. Strap lug and its two screws can go in for cleaning. Very dirty under here. Something's been spilt on the top of the camera, I would think. Strap lug at this end, two screws. There's a shim washer under one, we'll save that for later reference. That chrome trim can come off. Look at all the sand and rubbish up here. There's another shim washer that escaped, we'll have him back too. Take out the rewind shaft and bush. Where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? Okay. Rangefinder's off, rewind's off. Cocking rat seems to be sitting at a funny angle there. We'll find out more about that. Might be slightly bent. Oh, that's not in good shape. That's got damaged teeth. That's not a good one at all. We'll investigate that once it's all been stripped and cleaned. Just take this screw and the spring off the top of the release lever. Take the clip and the spring off the top of the lock lever. Get the screw out of that. Let's just take these out. Oh, I'll just stop that shaft from rotating and undo that screw. That was it. Now my lock lever goes there. My release lever, I need to get that spring off there because it's easily damaged. I don't want it getting lost in the cleaning process. Back here, where are we? Yes, you can just about see. Screw out the centre. Cover these. Both hinge screws for the front door appear to be just about backed out. Take that off. Want the spring off this because I don't want that going through the cleaner. That can come out. Rewind button next, I think. So I want my pliers. I have my pliers. Just unscrew that. The button and the washer can go through the cleaner, the spring can come off. Single screw here on the drives the sprocket, film sprocket from the sprocket shaft, so we'll just recover that screw. Pull out the sprocket shaft. Sprocket can go to one side. At the base of the camera, the lock lever for the rewind button, I've just unhooked the spring. Screw can go to the cleaner, spring with the springs, lever for the cleaner. Our advanced lever, our film advanced shaft here, 3 screws, hold the bush at the base of this to the body casting. Recover that and the 3 screws. I'm checking to make sure that the disc on the end, the camshaft here, the cam is not loose on the shaft. It feels good. The grease is very old and dried and sticky. At the top of the camera, the bush for the film advance shaft fell out. That looks fine. Here's the clutch assembly. Clutch assembly moves smoother in one direction than the other. That was moving well enough. The base of the camera here, now we can take out the film take up spool, take the bush off that. This will need cleaned, it's very dirty and greasy. Let's have a look in there. Yeah. See that? They're breeding film chips. There's a huge family of them. They're a lot like cockroaches. They breed in the bottom of cameras. Right, the screws for the door hinge, that was loose at the top. I was quite correct, it's just about hanging out. At the bottom, exactly the same thing. It's backed right out. In fact, that is not the original screw. That's some ring-in. It's got nothing to do with the retina. That will explain the hole in the leatherette at the bottom of the camera, because there you couldn't, that screw was far too long for the job, so that'll have to be replaced. As you can see, this is all pretty filthy in here. Just looking at the state of these arms, they don't look overly, they're bent really, not too badly anyway, that's alright. And that is getting us down closer and closer to an empty camera body. So, taking my spanner, I'll unscrew the retaining ring. lift out the shutter, take the retaining ring, just pop that loosely on the back and put the shutter aside for later consideration. Yeah, what have we got? Right, this screw here operates the rangefinder. It's on an arm on that central ring here on the focus mount, so that can come out. Two small screws there. That arm comes out, that can go in the cleaner. Two screws hold this front housing in place. That front housing supports the gear on the front of the shaft that comes through from the cocking rack. Now, this is where I need to mark my focus scale ring, the black part, and the bright brass outer helical and the dark coloured inner helical. I need to get those all aligned so I know where to find things, so that when I put it back together, everything goes back in the same place. The most convenient way, there's something stuck in the thread here, a bit of grass or something. What I normally try and do is get them at the point where the inner and outer helical are dead level with each other, and then I'll scribe a line across all three, two lines at the base, one line at the top. Then I can find my alignment marks when I'm reassembling the camera, and everything goes back where it came from. Very frequently there will be other alignment marks there made by previous repairers. If you can decipher their marks and figure out how they relate to the arrangement of things, you can use them. Otherwise I find it much more convenient to make my own marks every time in exactly the same way, so that if I'm disturbed, if the camera sits there waiting to be reassembled for some time, perhaps if I was waiting for parts or something of that nature, then I don't need to think about it. I know the answer already. I know exactly what the marks will mean, and so I'll be able to put it back together, confident that everything goes back in the correct place. That screw head's a bit mutilated looking. Still, it came out okay. So I've removed the four black screws that hold the bellows to the back of the front standard. That's falling away now. Here's our focus mount. I'll recover the screws from that now. Make sure they go in for cleaning. The four screws here are the four screws that held the focus mount to the lens standard, and the four screws that held the bellows. Now this is very tight. That's not. That's not. There it is. Those four screws, recover those, get them into the cleaner. Split this. Alright. So it's getting fairly well stripped there. I want all of this out of the body casting. Two screws at the top, two at the base. The two at the base are missing. They were the ones that were loosely holding that chrome trim in place. Okay. Two at the top. One screw here holds the bracket which holds the transfer shaft, if you like, in place. Right, so that should come out. It does. This is full of sand, absolutely chocker. Right, this piece, let's recover that finger, push in the buttons, press that right the way through, remove the buttons, put their springs over there, the buttons go into the cleaner here. That spring I want off with its screw. 2 screws hold this finger to the side of the lens standard. That transfers the action of the shutter release button on the top of the camera and shaft through to the shutter. Right, at this stage, this filthy mess is all in bits, bar the shutter. These pieces have to go into the degreaser, at least 10 minutes in the ultrasonic in degreaser, and then 10 minutes in strong household ammonia detergent in hot, very hot water in the ultrasonic, and then rinsed and dried. And in the meantime, I've got to clean up all this rubbish. I'll get these started. I know what my first task is. It's to deal with that screw.